All right, hey there, viewers. So it's the first week of December. So I thought I'd do a follow-up video of my previous video of using 5W30 instead of 0W16 in my Rav4 Hybrid. Since I put up that video, there's so many comments on that. One thing I've noticed is people get really mad at you for not using manufactured recommended oil. But one thing, same car in different regions of the world. They use other specs of oil like 5W30. I think people were commenting. They were saying, yeah, in Saudi Arabia, we use 530 or 540 in their Rav4 Hybrid. So, but for you all, you non-believers, yeah, I'm just going to keep records of every oil change I do with 5W30, especially for this first drain and fill with 530 oil, because I got myself oil test kit to send to Blackstone Lab. So for you people who are saying, yeah, your engine's going to seize with 5W30, well, we'll see when we get the results, how much wear metal is in this first drain of 5W30. And then I'm going to use 5W30 again and then drain it out after the winter time, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you should be using 0W30 instead of 5W30. And my reasoning is I want to be consistent, 5W30, and 5W30 isn't going to, well, if you're in like Alberta, I'm in BC, where it gets close to -40, then yeah, 0W weight oil is probably more beneficial there than I am here. So yeah. Anyways, gonna get right to it. Oh yeah, and by the way, let me show you. Car's hot, operating temperature. I drove it here. I drove like literally almost 50 kilometers. So engine's nice and hot. So I use my Trip B. So I've gone 6,200 kilometers. 6,200 kilometers since I last changed it. And total odometer reading is 25,400. So yeah. So if you want to watch my previous video, I'll link it down in the description. And then, yeah, you can check out that video. So this is the next oil change number 2. And then also send the oil sample to Blackstone Lab with two oil samples there, so you can see from before winter and after winter, I guess. All my crush washers are in here. So crush washers, and then the Toyota crush washers, I just have bags of them for crush washers. So if you need them, I have links down in the description to the Amazon, and you can just order bags of it yourself. They're not too expensive. So you should pretty much replace crush washers every time you change your oil. Hope everything's in frame when I have this thing on my head. That's open. Get my sample bottle ready. Drain pan. Up to the top. Yeah. So one thing I noticed, it's a lot cleaner, or not as dark as 0W16 after 6,000 kilometers. Which I also noticed because I put 530 in the same amount of mileage I put on my 4Runner compared to the mileage I put, and it's a hybrid. This is a hybrid, and I noticed the oil with 0W16 is definitely darker in 0W16 than it is 530, which now you can see it's I don't know if I can. Is the camera showing? It's on my forehead, so I can't really tell. So yeah. Anyways, I'll let that drain. we're down to like a trickle, so I'll put the drain plug back in. That's good. And then let's get the oil filter. That's gonna get dumped. Toyota filters come with the grease already on the O-ring, so don't need to put a film of oil on it. Come on, thread it in there. There we go. So if I had this funnel for the longest time, I left it at my house. And every time I leave the house, I keep forgetting to grab it. But somebody was calling me out and was like, hey, you got to get a better funnel. And I do. I just never brought it. It's at my place. But if you want one of these, put a link in the description and then you can grab one for yourself. So it should just thread into the oil cap hole. And that's all it is. Shake it up. I should shake it. So, and make sure I shake it up. So, not the 0W16 that it says right there, but 5W30. I always just throw in like, what is it? 4.5 liters. So that's how much it takes. Somebody keep. People also don't like it when you pour it like this and it makes like a glugging thing, and you're like, oh yeah, you gotta pour it sideways. In the last video, I only used one hand because I had a camera in my other hand. And also my wrist hurts. Actually, during parental leave, my wrists don't hurt so much anymore. It got better from wrenching all the time. All right. That should be about where it is. Take a look. Yeah, close. This thing should take 4.5 liters with a filter. So we're at the 1 liter mark. Another half. Yeah, it should be right there. Where's my cap? There we go. I guess I'll pour it into my top-up jug, or the rest into my pop-up jug. All right, that's that. I can go in to top up people's oil in case they're low. It's getting full yet. Oh, it is right to the top. Guess there is some fuel dilution, I guess. Well, you know, when you're on parental leave and all you're doing is short trips to like the grocery stores to pick up diapers and stuff. So we do have some fuel dilution. It's actually like up here. So since I stopped work, this car is mainly just, you know, short trips and, you know, picking up groceries and going to grab more diapers. Man, I've gone through so many diapers in the last, what was it, 2 months? Man, my garbage can is always full. But yeah, anyways, more came out than it did, than it does go in. That's that. I should be good. Double check the oil level, start it up, get it off the ramps. Turn up the heat. Engine's running. I'm gonna idle for a bit. I might as well reset my trip B for my oil change. That's reset. And then we're gonna go into my settings because I don't always make it to my next oil change interval, so vehicle settings, schedule maintenance, reset, yes, and that's done. And there we go. Shut the car off. Check the oil level. Wipe. It is, can't tell. It's hard to tell, but it's like right there. Oil's so clean. All right, so that's pretty much it for this. I'll see you guys in 4 months or 5 months, depending on, you know, when I'm due to do an oil change. And then I'll take another oil sample with the 530, and then I'll send it to Blackstone Labs and see what they say. Is there more wear metals? Is my oil thinning out? All that kind of stuff. But yeah, anyways. A lot of people commented on that last video about, you know, your engine's going to seize from using 5W30, or, you know, this guy thinks he knows more than the engineers, and all that kind of stuff. What I found really interesting, and I love working at the dealership for this, and I always like doing big repairs, is because all the new stuff that you find that fails. Like, you know, connecting rod bearings, which I also have a video on. It's, you know, incorrect bearing size, and they're kind of like what's happening with Toyota Tundra engines. They say it is machining debris, but on their recall also claims that they have improved main bearings. So if it was machining debris, why would they change the main bearings? You know what I mean? Like, I think some kind of engineering that's gone into that engine wasn't so good. I don't know. That's my opinion. But at the same time, you know, doing repairs, like same repairs over and over again at the dealership kind of tells you what is actually wrong. I guess, say for instance, the V6 that's burning oil, they extended the warranty to 10 years, unlimited kilometers. So a lot of people who don't make it in that 10-year area, they've been getting declined. My coworkers are telling me that, yeah, all the 13s, 14s, Honda's just declining them. And at the same time, you know why they say that they give you a 10-year warranty? It's because after 10 years, they can just be like, hey, the car's too old. We're not going to warranty anything for you. You're on your own. That's basically what that 10 years mean, in my opinion. But at the same time, I'm not an engineer, but I do enough piston rings to tell you that The oil burning is because the oil control rings, they're tiny. They're tiny. They stick, they carbon up, they plug up the holes to drain the oil back, and you start burning oil. Or why wouldn't they tell you to change cylinder 5 and 6? Because the front bank also burns oil. It's just because the cylinder deactivation is on the back and doesn't create any heat to burn that oil. And then oil gets into the combustion chamber and it fouls up the spark plugs. And on the recall, it says it's because the gaps on the piston rings line up and then allows oil to get into the cylinders. But it's not. It's just an excuse. Same thing with every manufacturer. They find an excuse like the machining debris and the Tundra engines and stuff like that. So it's easier to blame on something than on someone. You know what I mean? Anyways, this is me rambling. I'm also, when I get back to work, I'm also thinking about, should I make a video on why I think the 1.5 liter turbos, the Honda 1.5 liter turbos fail head gaskets? There's quite a few, because when you do so many head gaskets, you kind of realize the head gasket it's way thinner. The multi-layers, it's 2 layers of metal, and they're coated, but they're only coated in certain areas. You know how Toyotas on their V6 have head gasket issues, and they updated the head gasket and they just coated the whole entire head gasket. That's one thing, but at the same time, there's also that groove that allows coolant to go through, and it creates really there's not much of a space. There's no buffer zone to allow for like combustion gases to burn right through that head gasket or that coating on it, and then basically you get the head gasket leak. And then the other thing is the head bolts are freaking skinny. They're skinny. They want you to torque it to 100 after I can't remember. It's like 20 something foot-pounds and then 140 degrees. So that 140 degrees one time, because if you do a K-series motor, it's like 90 degrees, and then 90 degrees when you're using new head bolts. They just do it 140, and the torque at that 140, when you torque to yield it, it's less than 70 foot-pounds. That's my observation. So doing all these, and also, I'll probably make a video on why the 1.5 liter turbo fail head gaskets. And I got a list of all the things I can point out that why they're failing. So maybe look forward to one of those future videos from me, I guess. I'll probably be doing another head gasket when I get back to work. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. So they claim that this oil burning issue is due to the compression ring gaps lining up together. But this is what happens when people, they have to do something about it. They don't know what they're talking about. I think what they need to do is make these oil control rings bigger, redesign the piston where oil will drain better out of these things, right? And that will fix this oil burning issue. Because if it was the compression rings that are lining up the gaps, how come the bulletin doesn't tell you to replace the piston rings on these 2 cylinders?
Yeah, it doesn't fucking work.
So we can always constantly re-ring them, but after a certain amount of miles, those oil control rings get stuck in there again, and you're re-ringing them again. So all they have to really do is redesign the pistons, right? Not keep putting piston rings and the oil control rings, and basically it's just going to do the same thing over again. Like, if you want this engine to last, just redesign the piston, make the grooves bigger, make the separator bigger, right? Because these are tiny, right? They get filled up with junk, right? Make these oil control rings maybe slightly thicker, not so thin, so they spring out better, and they go up against the cylinder walls nice and tighter. Get those oil off the cylinder walls, and that's all that needs to be done. Just other than just telling us to put in short blocks with the same thing in it or re-ringing them, it's not going to do anything. And people who think that I'm smarter than an engineer, I tell them, no, I'm not smarter than an engineer. I'm just an idiot that decides to work in a field where I'm fixing what engineers created. Comment down below on these VCM motors. Yeah, you do this enough to know it's not the compression ring gaps, it's those oil control rings getting stuck. So at the same time, if you think about it, engineers can be persuaded by money, because a company can just be like, I'll pay you X amount of dollars to engineer something with cheaper materials. Do you think an engineer will say no, or he'll just, bend over and just take the money? But for us as mechanics, we got to fix it no matter what, because we're getting paid a flat rate, and you know, we're doing this constantly over and over and over again. But at the same time, when we're doing this over and over again, we kind of see what is actually wrong. Anyways, okay, so you know about the bearing recall on the Honda V6s. So we got the bearings out. You see that? All that wear, that's copper showing. I don't know how well that's going to show up, right? This one's pretty bad. Oh, this one. Well, we got to replace the bearings anyways because we took them out as per the recall. But they said light to no wear on those bearings. Can you believe it? That's supposedly light to no wear. We're in this box where we're supposed to take a picture of it and then send it, and that's what their response is. Light to no wear. What is this? What is this? See? That's copper. Here's all the new bearings. They're all different color coded. So there are certain bearings for certain connecting rods. So you got to order them in the correct ones.